We had been talking on the phone for a while, and we had already talked about this book and where the two wills would meet. So we decided we had to go to this.
We went to this special place.
Not special, say, in the way that this church is special.
Really quite the opposite.
So it really took us places I didn't think I would ever go for research purposes.
No. And places that, frankly, I do not wish to return to for research purposes.
The weirdest thing is when I walked in and they said, "Hey, John." But he said it was, "Oh, that's another John Green." I was like, "Oh, that's
there are a lot of us."
Yeah.
All right, maybe two more questions.
Wow,
one of each.
Oh my goodness.
The time flies when you're
Yes.
John, did you ever finish the screenplay for Paper Towns?
The question is about the screenplay for Paper Towns. So I'm going to let David tell a happy movie story so that I can tell a sad one. Yeah, I finished it. I don't think they'll ever make the movie. They usually don't make movies out of books that they buy because the investment to buy the book is extremely small and the investment to make the movie is extremely large. So it's relatively inexpensive to pay a sap like me to write a script, and then you've got to find the $30 million to make the movie, and that can be a challenge. Which is okay. I mean, I would love, Paramount owns the rights to Looking for Alaska, and I would love to see a Looking for Alaska movie someday, and I think it would be, I think that would be really cool. But I also think that because the movie has never been made from any of my books, the books get to have a very special life in the lives of the people who read them. And that's something that I'm really grateful for and I feel really lucky about, because you don't always love the movie that they make. In fact, I would say that generally people don't love the movie that they make, and it would be hard for me to have the reading of a novel shaped by a film-going experience that to me does not feel very much like the novel experience. So I'm sort of perversely grateful for all of that, but the answer is no. I don't think they'll make it, but yes, I did finish the script. But you actually know what it's like.
And then sometimes they make the movie from your book and you really love it. This is exceedingly rare. My experience with Nick and Nora was, I know of only like 2 or 3 other authors who had such a great experience. So to John's point, I think he's correct. I mean, A, it's very rare that a movie based on a book ever gets made, but even rarer that it actually holds up to the spirit of the book. And I was lucky because it did. But to that point, like my first book, Boy Meets Boy, a lot of people have asked about turning into a movie over the years, and I refuse because I just think it's much, much better in people's heads than it would ever be on screen. So I think it is. It's a choice that you have to make as an author. So when to let go, when to keep it, and you do. I was extraordinarily nervous when Nick and Nora was being turned into a movie because I thought it is going to screw everything up. Like people are, and it's going to be a bad movie, and then when people are reading the book, they're going to be picturing a bad movie, and that's not what you want. I got really lucky because, again, it's a movie that I genuinely love a lot. So I don't mind if people are picturing those characters when they're reading the book, even though the book does have some different plot points in it. The spirit is the same.
Well, I think it should change. I mean, I think that's inevitable to the fact movies are fundamentally different from books. One more question, I think. No pressure. Everyone's like, I don't want to be last. Yes.
I noticed someone mentioned about the cause in your novels, but I want to ask, is there any elements of either of your stories that you feel are in every novel?
Are there elements from our personal stories that are in each novel that we write?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. Every novel that I've written except for Will Grayson has someone exiting out of a window awkwardly. And every novel that I've written except for Will Grayson has what else? That's about it, actually. I think. Yeah, I guess. It's hard to find boys these days who aren't in love with someone because love has been so endlessly romanticized and turned into this thing that isn't real unless it's romantic. But yeah, I guess windows and leaving them awkwardly, which I've always thought is a very clever little metaphor, but perhaps it stays still in my career.
I guess in my books, I mean, there are a lot of happy gay kids in my books. I mean, because you know what, in like the whole like history of teen literature, there aren't that many of them, so I'm trying to add some more in. Although it is amazing because in Will Grayson, Tiny Cooper is not my invention at all. It is John. So I'm sort of like, oh, I know that character. I can have fun with that. But that isn't a requirement for any of my books. I have some books that don't have gay characters in them, but I think that theme, and just the underlying theme of trying to figure out who you are, and not necessarily be accepted for it, but just accepting it yourself and just being cool with it, and then just discovering what's out in the world. But the thing that is in common with all of my books, and certainly Will Grayson counts for that, is I'm just fascinated by the way people are connected. And I think the whole old E.M. Forster line of only connect, like I think that you could boil every single thing I've written into that theme of only connect. And just trying to find people, whether it is randomly because they share the same name, or whether it is not very randomly because they fall in love with each other, or whether it's semi-randomly because they're in the same place at the same time, but it ends up that there are designs behind that. I'm just fascinated with the way we connect. And I think it's always interesting just to extrapolate it into this, because I always make a delineation between being a writer and being an author. A writer is sort of when you're at home on your computer or with your notebook and you're scribbling away and you're not thinking of audience, you're certainly not thinking of doing something like this. You're thinking of the words on the page and you're thinking of the story. And that's when you're connecting characters and connecting people and themes and lives. But then we do something like this as an author, which is bringing that writing out into the public. And it's amazing because you see that the story itself can be a connector of people, and I think that's one of the amazing things. Again, I'm very much a witness to the nerd fighter thing, but I think that is, whether you're a nerd fighter or whether you're not, whether you just read the books, it is amazing how stories that we can write can connect us all, and just bring all these random people here into this room. Again, some of whom know each other, some of whom have connections online or just by the same community, and some people who are doubtless total strangers to each other and total strangers to me or to John. That's kind of amazing. So I love the fact that the central theme of my writing becomes the central theme of my author life.
And speaking of, that was very beautifully said, and speaking of connection, we hope that you will make friends in line.
Yeah.
Because it may be a while for some of you, but we promise that we will sign every book that you wish for us to sign that we wrote. And I want to say, and I'm sure I speak for David when I say this, that we are very, very grateful to you for being here, and also that we are very, very grateful to have you as readers. I feel very fortunate to have readers who read my novels in whole, and read them in context, and read them thoughtfully, and respond to them with such thoughtfulness and depth. And Will Grayson has been no exception to that rule, and so thank you so, so much.
Thanks. Again, thanks again to RJ Julia and Star. Now, the important thing now is for you not to get up. Now, if you want to leave and don't want your book signed, you of course can get up and leave. But we have to do this in an orderly fashion. So what's going to happen? Okay, we're going to start here. This one here is we're going to go row by row. So wait until you were told to get up and come up. What? We're going to go out that door there. But again, we want to keep this really calm, really orderly. Again, we encourage you. They are selling not just Will Grayson if you want multiple copies, but our backlist, please. Again, we will sign as many books as you want us to sign. We'll be here for as long as it takes. Again, we apologize ahead of time. We can't do hugs. We can't do individual posing for photos. If you want to take pictures of us while you sign, or while we sign your books, feel free, but we can't stop. Meanwhile, John, is there something you'd like to add?
I didn't do my dance.
John Green, are you feeling happy?
I'm kind of nervous. Usually I do it in my room and I'm alone, and it's just the camera and I don't have to think about all the people watching. Really close. Nobody talks, so I can go into my room, my camera,